Welcome to all of you on my educational channel. So far we have studied about Edmund Spenser, who was a great non-dramatic poet of Elizabethan age. He was towering personality of Elizabethan age. In two videos on Edmund Spenser, we have studied some of his minor poems. Today we are going to study the most famous poem, that is the Fairy Queen. Edmund Spenser was born in East Smithfield near Tower of London. Though it looks a strange fact that he was a towering personality of Elizabethan age, but as a literature learner, literature lover, we know very little about his biography. He was born in East Smithfield near Tower of London. East Smithfield, that was located near the Tower of London, and he started his early education at Merchant Taylor School. Thereafter he migrated to Cambridge University, where he came to know about Harvey, who was a scholar and later who became a very close friend of Edmund Spenser. On advice of Harvey, his friend, he came to London and he stayed at Leicester's house. And from there, he started his literary career. While living at Leicester's house, he started his career. He expressed the dream of English chivalry. Though he accepted Geoffrey Chaucer as his master, but he was not wishing to copy out the Canterbury Tales. He wanted to model his poem on Aristo in Orlando Furioso. We all know that Aristo was a great Italian poet, and in his Orlando Furioso, he expressed the chivalry, the dreams of Italian people. In the same fashion, Edmund Spenser also expressed the dreams of chivalry of England in his The Fairy Queen. He lived for 16 years, almost 16 years he lived in Ireland, and he wrote View of the State of Ireland, that is credited the only prose work of Edmund Spenser. Students, you should keep it in your mind that Spenser wrote only prose work, the View of the State of Ireland, and in this prose work he described the state of Ireland at that time. According to Ben Jonson, he died for want of bread. He started his life as a poor boy, and according to Ben Jonson, who was a great dramatist along with William Shakespeare, he wrote that Spenser died for want of bread. It means he died in sheer poverty. He was buried beside his master Chaucer in Westminster Abbey. And great poets of that time, they came in numbers to commemorate their loving poet who passed away. So, with respect, honor, he was buried beside his master where Chaucer was buried before in Westminster Abbey. Let us start his major poem, that is the Fairy Queen. Actually, he wanted to write this poem into 24 books. His planning was too tall, but unfortunately Spenser could not complete his actual plan. He wrote just 6 books, and the 7th book we find in fragments. Fragments of the 7th book are available for us. He completed only 6 books. The story of the Fairy Queen starts like this. The poet, the hero of the poem, visits the Queen of Fairyland. The hero visits Queen of Fairyland and he recounts some distressed people come per day to the Queen for her help. The Queen was holding 12 days fast, 12 days festival, and on each day some distressed person comes and seeks the help of the Queen. The Queen sends a knight who represents some moral value, moral virtue, to save the distressed person. So, in first book, there is Red Cross Knight. Red Cross Knight is the hero of book first. And Red Cross Knight represents holiness. Red Cross Knight, who is the hero of the book first, he represents holiness. And there is Lady Una. Lady Una represents religion or church. So there are 2 important characters in book first. The book first is about holiness, and Red Cross Knight, who is Savior, he is representing holiness. There is Lady Una, who represents religion. In book second, there is Sir Gawain. Sir Gawain represents temperance. So book second is all about the quality, moral virtue of temperance, and Sir Gawain, who is a knight, is representing the moral virtue of temperance. The book third is dedicated to Brito Martis. Brito Martis is the heroine of book third. Brito Martis actually is Queen Elizabeth, and she represents chastity. Chastity is a moral virtue of our life. So, book third is dedicated to the quality of chastity, and the heroine of this book is Brito Martis, who represents chastity. There is book fourth. Book fourth is about 2 knights, Campbell and Tremont. Campbell and Tremont represent the quality of friendship. So, book fourth is all about friendship between Campbell and Tremont. Book fifth, there is article. Article represents justice. Article represents justice. So, book fifth is dedicated to justice. That is an important moral virtue of our life. And there is hero Article, who represents justice. In book 6, the hero is Sir Calidore. Sir Calidore is the hero of book 6 of Fairy Queen, and Sir Calidore represents courtesy. Courtesy is a vital quality of our life, vital virtue of our life. So Sir Calidore represents courtesy. There, as I have told you earlier, that there is book 7th available for us in fragments. It was not completed. So we have just some fragments of book 7, and it talks about constancy, the moral virtue constancy. So these 7th books of Fairy Queen are available for us, and this is the major poem of Edmund Spenser. Friends, let us see some of the important characters of that time. Queen Elizabeth is Fairy Queen and Vito Mortis. Two characters in fairy land, that is Fairy Queen and Vito Mortis. These two characters represent Queen Elizabeth. Then there is Red Cross Knight of book 1st. And who is Red Cross Knight? Sir Philip Sidney, who was a close friend and a literary person of his time. Sir Philip Sidney is Red Cross Knight. And Leicester, there is a knight Arthur who represents Leicester. As I have told you before, that Spenser spent some of his time in London at Leicester's house. So Leicester is Arthur. Then there is Mary Queen of Scotland, and Duessa is a character who represents Mary Queen of Scotland. So Duessa is representative of Mary Queen of Scotland. Sir Walter Raleigh, there is a character in Fairy Queen, Timaeus. Timaeus is Sir Walter Raleigh. These were very important characters of Spenser time. These people had some moral virtues, and those moral virtues were represented by some characters in his book Fairy Queen. So today we have started some important points of biography of Spenser. Then we concluded his most famous poem, that is the Fairy Queen. We discussed the 7 books of the Fairy Queen. Though original planning of the poet was to write 24 books, but unfortunately he could not complete this major planning of his career. He just could write this book into 7 parts, into 7 books. In this way, students, today we are going to conclude Edmund Spenser, part 3rd. So we have so far discussed Edmund Spenser, the non-dramatic poet of Elizabethan age, into 3 parts, part 1st, part 2nd and part 3rd. I hope you enjoyed this video, and appeal all of you to subscribe and like my channel KV Study Zone for recent updates. Keep updated. Thanks for watching.